Hey there friends, it's Missy again. Thanks so much for joining me today. I'm here with a new layout for the Pinkfresh Studio design team, and I'm going to be using the Joyful Day collection for this. And I'm going to start with a cut file. This is a cut file from Just Nick Studio, and it's called Floral Background 2. And I haven't used flowers in a while, and I was sorting through all of the cut files that I have saved on my computer, and I don't think I've used this one yet, and I've had it for a while, and I was in the mood to just create some really pretty pink and blue and peachy colored flowers. I was sorting through all the pattern papers in this Joyful Day collection, and those three colors just jumped out at me, and I haven't done a fun backing of a cut file in a while, or at least it feels like a while. So that's what I'm going to do here, and I just cut the flowers on white cardstock, and I'm tracing the back side of the paper that I want to back the cut file with, and then I just cut it out and then simply glue it behind the cut file, and there you can see how that turns out. And it wasn't an exactly perfect cut since these flowers are pretty thin. I kind of had some overhang there with the pattern paper, but that's easy to trim off. So I'm going to do like I said, some pink, some of that periwinkle blue color, and then that light peachy pattern paper. And then I'm also going to use a couple others to back it with. And so there's the color scheme I'm going to use for this layout, and I like how this looks. If you've never backed a cut file before, it's really fun and easy to do. It just takes some time, but the result is always worth it, I think. So I'm going to use this picture here. I printed it in square. It's my daughter sitting on the side of the pool, and she's facing backwards and she's kind of looking over her shoulder, and I just think it's really cute. And I like the way it looks tucked up underneath that flower. You can kind of see how there's some space on her right side, and it's perfect for overlapping and just kind of tucking it in there underneath the cut file. Now I did want to add something to the middle of each of these flowers, and so that's all I'm doing here is I'm using a couple of my circle punches. I think I have a 1/2 inch and then a 1 inch, and I'm going back to those same papers and just punching out different, actually that's a different paper, that little cut apart sheet, but it still had some of the coordinating colors. I'm just punching out the circles, and then I'm going to add those to the middle of the flowers, and I'm going to mix and match. So I'm going to put a pink circle on a blue flower, and just kind of mix up the colors. And I wanted to add a little bit of texture to them, so I'm going to run them through my little edge distressor there just to kind of make the edges kind of distressed and stand up off the page. And then I'm going to add a little bit of adhesive foam underneath them. So that's going to finish off that. Now I do want to add some color to my background, so I'm going to use some thick white cardstock as my base, and I'm going to add some clear gesso here. I'm going to cover quite a bit of the background since the cut file takes up so much room, and I want all of the color that I'm going to add to sort of just show around the edges and of the cut file, and then around the edges of the photo. So I'm going to try to color most of this blue. I've really found that I like adding white acrylic paint to the liquid watercolors. That's what I'm using here, the Pinkfresh Studio liquid watercolors. And I'm just using my brush to basically scribble on some paint and then add a little bit of water, and then I'm just dripping in some white acrylic paint, and look how it kind of spreads when it hits the water, and it really softens up the color, which I really love because I want to keep this background very light and very soft, because I'm trying to pull from that soft light blue color that is in the flowers. And so that's all I'm doing here, just adding some paint, watering it down, and then softening it up even more with some of the white acrylic paint. And this is just some paint I got from Walmart. It's nothing expensive. It's actually quite thin, and so when I tilt the bottle, it just kind of drips right out, so it's not really thick at all. But it's a great way to lighten up these colors. A lot of these Pinkfresh Studio colors are very concentrated and very, very bold, and it does not take a lot to get a dark, bold color. And so adding a little bit of white is going to lighten it up a little bit. I think I'm only using, well, right now I'm using one color. I'm using the beautiful aqua color. I think that's my favorite. I'm going to add in a little bit of the darker blue to match that periwinkle blue color that I have in the flowers. And so I'm just going to very, very softly add just a tad of it. Like I said, it's very bold, so you don't need a lot. And then I'm just going to add in a little bit more of the paint, soften it up, and let it run, let it blend. And it's okay if this looks like a hot mess because a lot of it's going to be covered up, and the cut file is going to go on top of it. So now here's where I kind of make a mistake. I don't want to call it a mistake, but I thought about adding some of the peach color, which means I need to go really soft with the orange, but the orange is so bold, and as soon as I did this, I tried to add some white paint, and I just didn't like how it looked with all the blue. So what I'm going to do is basically wipe it off, and the gesso, see, that just didn't look right. It wasn't the same color. So I'm just going to roll my paper towel over it, and most of it comes up. Now, the gesso is what allowed that to happen. That's why I always use gesso, because if you want to move the color around on your page before it dries and before it soaks through the paper, the gesso is what you want to use, because it allows you to wipe things up pretty quickly if you change your mind. And so you can kind of still see where I added it, but in the end it doesn't really show. So I decided to go with some pink. I used the pink watercolor and add some white paint to that to soften that up, and then add some splatters with my brush. And I'm going to just add a little bit more because I do want to pull in some of the pink on the background, but I want it to be subtle. So I'm going to roll my paper towels right over it right away so it's very soft and subtle. All right, so that's kind of pretty much the background, and I love how that looks. I love how it pulls the soft colors out of the cut file and onto the background. And then I have room for my photo over here to the left. I already know where I'm going to put that. And you're going to be able to see some of that blue watercolor from, on the background showing around there. So this is some adhesive foam. I get this from Walmart, and I love it because it's thin, it's easy to cut. You can cut it to any size you want. And so I'm going to pop the cut file up off of the background with that. And then I'm going to add some coordinating colors of thread. I've got some pink, some of that periwinkle blue color. I don't even know if that's considered periwinkle. I think it looks periwinkle. It's more of a dark periwinkle, but it's not navy, it's not royal, it's not purple. So I'm going with periwinkle, but hopefully that makes sense. I'm going to add in some light blue. And I had some yellow, but I decided to not go with the yellow because there's not really a lot. There's a little bit of yellow in the two flowers with the white pattern paper, but not enough. Yeah, my thread kept sticking to my hands there because it always does. I like how this is looking, so I'm going to go ahead and start to glue that cut file down right where it is. And I'm using the Scotch tacky glue in that bottle. I always get asked that, and I love it. I want that to lay flat and dry, so I'm putting my little water bottle, or my water glass, on top of that there. Now I'm going to start to work on embellishing, and I'm going to do most of the embellishing to the left of the photo, which is going to consist of some of the Joyful Day die cuts, puffy stickers, and the cardstock stickers. And I don't want to do too much, but I do want to stick with the floral theme since obviously I've got a lot of flowers on here. I'm going to add that little tab that says Memories up at the top of the photo. And then I'm trying to pull some of the peach, the pink, a little bit of yellow, and that periwinkle blue over to the left, that little floral cluster. And then I'm going to use this as my title. It's from those puffy stickers with the big scripty words. And I'm just going to use the word adore, mainly because I like the color of it. It brings down some of that pink. I'm going to cut this piece of a sticker off. It's a big sticker. I just want a pop of that blue down below the photo, so I'm just going to cut the sticker. And then I'm going to go to these rainbow puffy stickers from Joyful Day. And my title is just very, very simple. It's going to be Adore This. And that is it. I didn't want to spend a lot of time agonizing over a title when I have these words right in front of me. And this was just a cute picture of her by the pool. You know, it wasn't a major event where I needed a super important title. And so I like that font of the word adore, and the color was great. And I'm going to add another little flower cluster underneath the title just to give it a little something there, since I have a lot of white space in that area. I did want to soften up the word or the colors in this, so I'm just going to take a little bit of gesso and a teeny tiny brush and just kind of brush over them to soften them up, because they were a little bit bolder than I wanted for this particular layout, since everything seems kind of soft. And then I'm going to glue all those letters down, because they never want to stick to gesso. Nothing ever wants to stick to gesso. And this turned out, I would consider this a pretty simple layout. Nothing earth-shattering here, just cut files, beautiful papers, some watercolor, and sometimes it's just about being simple and doing the techniques that you love. You know, everything doesn't have to be super complicated, and I just kept this one simple and sweet, and I really like how it turned out. And all I'm doing here is adding some lines and some journaling, and that's going to wrap it up. I think the final pictures are coming. I do add the date. I usually do that off camera because that's the last thing that I do, but I love how this turned out. It was fun to make, and I really love this collection. I think the colors are beautiful, and you can get a lot of looks from it because it's got basically all the rainbow colors, just in different shades. And yeah, you can kind of see how I added some gesso to those puffy stickers there to soften them up. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this. It was fun to make. Let me know if you have any questions about any of the Pinkfresh Studio products that I used, or the watercolors, or any of the techniques that I used, and I will be more than happy to answer. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video.